And welcome back to Control Alt Lead, a podcast from computing where we talk to IT leaders at the sharp edge of strategy and technology leadership. I'm Penny Horwood, Associate Editor at Computing, and today I'm joined by Kiran Mahil, CIO of Retail Products at Nationwide Building Society. And we're going to be talking about digitisation and automation in retail banking, particularly when that retail bank is well known and well trusted in each little institution like Nationwide. Kiran, thank you for joining me on Control Alt Lead.
Hi, Penny. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited for our chat.
So I think the best place for us to start is for you to set out what you do at Nationwide and what does being CIO of Retail Products entail?
So I've been the CIO of Retail Products for 2 years. It's a really exciting role, managing a fantastic group of multi-skilled people who run the core bank, product ledgers and originations for Nationwide. And so I'm responsible for managing the tech, the people, the budget, relationships with our partners. And I'm also responsible for connecting across the society to drive the retail product outcome. So that's things like new current accounts, savings accounts, credit cards, retail personal loans, and supporting the trading ambitions for the organisation.
Okay, wow, that's quite the remit, isn't it? So Nationwide is in a really interesting position at the moment as very long established and well loved institution, but it's one that's competing with the new wave of online banks. I'd imagine that some of your customers have probably embraced online banking and apps very happily. Perhaps others have been a bit more reluctant to do that. So, how has Nationwide gone about using digitization and automation to enable and democratize access to the services for all of your customers?
So I absolutely love this question, the kind of concept of democratizing access to retail services. So at Nationwide, we're a mutual. So our blueprint is all about banking but fairer, more rewarding and for the good of society. And so that means we're all about kind of enabling and democratizing access and doing the right thing for our customers and our members. And we've got a responsibility not only to our members, but also to the communities that we've served. And we've, demonstrated our commitment by investing both in our technology, but also in our branches so that we don't leave anybody behind. And over the last two horizons, when you think about our kind of strategic ambitions, we've really done a lot to support this. So we've driven down the costs of running our estate so that actually we've got more cash and other benefits that we can give back to customers. So driving down costs through our hybrid cloud strategy and managing our legacy tech estate. We've been on a core banking hybrid version for nearly 20 years. So, just to have that single core bank is a really important position for us to be in. So really driving down the cost of running the estate. We've been really focusing on driving automation, particularly in routine tasks. So things like drafting customer letters, cutting down response times so that our frontline staff can actually focus on complex cases and improving overall service quality across all of our channels. We've invested a lot in resilience and always-on capability so that we're always there for when our customers need us. We've invested in the tech that underpins our customer systems, whichever channel they choose to engage with us. So we haven't just been focused on the digital channels. We've been focused on that kind of multi-channel experience. So things like the business integration platform, which supports real-time data flow, and Speed Layer, which is a real-time cache. These are all really important capabilities for our customers in maintaining service. So, we've done a lot, Penny, in the sort of, but actually we've also at the same time continued to invest in branches, and we've got a branch promise that's out there until 2028. So, in the last 2 years that I've been here, we've created huge multi-channel products which are really appealing to our customers. And we've modernised things like our passbook capability. We've removed card reader capability for the bulk of our customers. We're driving digital lessons in branch, not just for our members, but also for the broader community. So, it's all about for us creating that great multi-channel experience and managing our business in such a way that we can then offer more back to more of our members beyond just rates and beyond just being a branch on the high street. So, we've been doing something called Fairer Share for the past 3 years, where we give back money to customers who are utilising our current account and maybe a savings account or mortgage product with us. So, it's really about how do you invest in the digital capabilities for those that want to use the digital capabilities that we have, but also how do we digitize in other areas so that our customers can get the best out of the experience from Nationwide.
Yeah. So that's how you take them with you, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I love that. Okay. I know you're well into the process of integrating Virgin Money into nationwide platforms. Can you share how sort of how much of that process has progressed, and can you share any of the challenges that you experienced? This is the integration of one massive complex financial platform into another one. Must have been pretty hard work at times.
So yeah, you're absolutely right. It is. It's really interesting. We've completed the acquisition in October 2024, and we have 6 years to phase out the Virgin brand. So effectively, we've got 6 years to integrate two separate legal entities. And we're not formally one legal entity at the moment. So we're currently in the planning stage, and we are reviewing everything. So we're reviewing all of the tech across the two organisations, the products, the propositions, the customer segments, branch footprint, you name it, we're kind of reviewing everything. And it is very much at the planning stage. Right now, the focus is on managing the resilience and commercials of both organisations and ensuring that both are robust from both perspectives. At the end of the day, we've acquired Virgin Money because we want to kind of grow. We want to be that mutual at scale. So managing the resilience and the commercials as we go integrating is super important. But already we're starting to experience some challenges, as you would expect. So it's two separate entities, which will remain until we formally become one. And so we don't have a common pathway for anything. So things like sending messages, that common sort of email connection, HR type things, common directories, things like that. All of these things are completely separate. So therefore, it really has been about getting to know each other's organizations, getting to know each other's teams, individuals, leaders, finding a way of kind of connecting in physical offices and just kind of getting together to create that sort of pathway to the future. So I think that's been one of the practical challenges. There's your two separate entities and your systems are all different. I think, some of the other challenges are that there's actually a lot to do in both organisations. And Nationwide has got huge growth ambitions, as does Virgin Money. We're at two different kind of stages in our maturity process of our organisations. And so therefore, Virgin Money and Nationwide have different things that they need to achieve at different times. So things like managing the individual budgets, but then ensuring that you're prioritising the right things strategically for the future is really, really important. So what you don't want to be doing is to contractually sign up for something for say 5 years, and actually you may not be needing that capability in a couple of years' time. It's things like that, just making sure that you're aligning the work to the strategy, which often, is a sort of pipe dream at the moment. So I think that's a big challenge. We have to maintain market share, and we can't distract from that because, both organisations are on a growth trajectory. I can't not mention the people. So I think, motivating people is when you're doing integration work is really hard. So you've got your BAU work, you've got integration work, you're sort of joining forces. Individuals worry about kind of what they're working on today, what they'll be working on tomorrow. So it's really important to galvanize people around the work, particularly as there's so much of it in the near term that we really need to think about. So, I mean, the one thing I would say is that some big decisions do need to be made early on, like which are the core platforms, who are the key partners, who are the group teams and roles, and then the rest sort of flows from there. But they can be tricky conversations, very fast paced, and then there's lots of strategic thinking that needs to be done, and it's usually by all of the same people that are doing the work. I mean, I think it's challenging, right? But I think the one thing that we are doing very well is communicating across both organisations. So really being clear on what is the ambition that we're going for, kind of what are the guiding principles in terms of how do we drive the outcomes, and having mutual respect for both organisations. I think that's been something that we've been really advocating from day one, and I think that's one thing that stands in really good stead for us. But yeah, very exciting times.
Good stuff. Thank you so much. So, in financial services, what does good digitisation look like?
Another great question. I think it isn't just about moving things online. From my perspective, it's about creating customer-centric and efficient digital ecosystems. And by that, I mean, how do
Yeah.
you really make things easier and better for the customer? And also, from my perspective, how can we make it better to run the business? So when you think about the customer, it's all about seamless experiences across the estate, using AI to tailor offers to me personally, so that you recognize my connection with the organization, reducing friction. So things like digital payments and wallets are exactly sort of the way we want to go. Better journeys for customers, reduced handoffs, reduced failure demand into back office teams, and kind of making sure you can help customers navigate the right help for, when they've got simple needs, can they self-serve? When you've got more complex needs, how do you quickly route them through to somebody to speak to? And then I think, security is key. So how do we use digitization? When you're thinking about advanced threat detection, encryption, biometric authentication. So for me, there's something around how do you make it easier and better for the customer? But when I talked about the ecosystem, it's also about how do you make the business better to run? So automating repetitive tasks like KYC, compliance checks, and transaction processing, using AI and machine learning for fraud detection and credit scoring, predictive analytics. And then things like cloud and data are obviously at the heart of, with cloud reducing infrastructure costs as improving scalability, but data is really at the heart of everything, breaking down those silos and using the data for real-time insights and faster decision making. So for me, when I think about effective digitization in financial services, it's a whole ecosystem that needs to come together.
And is that how Nationwide is that part of the strategy for competing with, your challenger banks, your Monzos, your Starlings, your Revoluts?
Yeah, it's absolutely at the heart of it. So I think other organisations on the high street, when they're competing with Monzo and Starling, it's all about how do we just focus on double down on digital, whereas we've got a hybrid strategy that combines significant investment in, that advanced cloud native digital platforms, but at the same time we take our unique advantage of having that extensive branch network. I mean, we've got the biggest branch network in the UK. So it's also about how do we modernize the network, and make sure that you can do just as many things within the branch as you can do on digital. So we have taken quite a bit of time over the last couple of years to really modernize our core technology. And so I'm just thinking about, cloud migration and thinking about our speed layer technology, thinking about our data strategy. And then, at a really practical level, we've also really taken some of the basic offerings that we've had and really improved them. So particularly around the mobile app, we've introduced some new mobile app features, particularly around fraud prevention controls and modernising payment methods and uplifting our interface so that it's more user friendly. So, and making it more intuitive. We have really focused on the kind of back end, but also on the front end. And we're starting to do some fun things. So recently we had a student proposition out there and we did a collab with Just Eat, and we took over a fried chicken shop. And so for me, that was kind of digital coming together with the core bank, coming together with marketing, coming together with data, and really kind of connecting and creating a great proposition. So, yes, we're kind of a traditional high street presence, but, we're really trying to compete with the challengers.
It's difficult, isn't it? Because you have to be necessarily so risk averse, but at the same time, you do have to be creative to stay relevant and stay competitive.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, I think you can't you've got to be mindful of managing risk, right? We can still be creative, we can still be pacey, we can still be relevant, and it's all about managing risk really effectively, and kind of real time. So as we're developing new products and propositions, bringing our lines of defense along that journey with us, because they can also be creative too, right?
Yes, definitely. So, speaking of, sort of widening channels of access, I know that you do a lot of work to try and widen digital access to finance and also in terms of future workforce planning, so trying to build that pipeline of technical talent for the future. So, can you talk us a bit more about the work that you're doing there?
Yeah, absolutely. So, Penny, you and I've talked before, but I get really excited when I talk about the workforce of the future, because I think that tech is really going to shape the requirements of businesses and who and what they need. And for me personally, I think we really need to support those who are early in their careers, because we all have to start somewhere. And I think it's important we show support, guidance, coaching, mentoring, sponsorship, and a pathway to a job. Because many of us have influence, we have size, scale, the leadership capability, whatever you want to call it, we can make a change in the lives of other people. And so we should be doing that. And maybe because I'm at Nationwide and we really think about not just our members, but also the communities that we serve and society in general, I think using our platform to kind of drive that, I think is really important. So at Nationwide, I support graduates, apprenticeships, early careers individuals. I'm supporting the City of London Women Pivoting to Digital scheme, and I've just started something called the Joint Enterprise Training Scheme with SAP Pioneer, who's one of our partners. And, you know, JET, the Joint Enterprise Training Scheme, that, for example, takes 10 individuals, 5 from SAP Pioneer and 5 sponsored by Nationwide, and trains them in everything to do with SAP, the technology, configuration, testing, you know, leadership training. And then this, at the end of the course, leads to a job within customer technology at Nationwide. So you could be working in the retail products team, in the payments team, customer services, mortgages and financial wellbeing. Really is a great pathway and something that I'm hugely proud of. I connected with one of the team members a couple of weeks ago. His name's Labo, and he's working on something we're calling ISA portfolio management. So it's a critical enabler within the building society for the provision of ISAs. And we've modernised our ISA capability at Nationwide. And so ISA portfolio management is the last step in the true end-to-end SAP provision of ISAs. And so to have somebody from the JET scheme working on something which is so business critical, for me, it just really cements the kind of importance of the work that we're doing, but also that value proposition for those individuals that are lucky enough to be part of this training. So for me, I think supporting early careers is really, really important. And outside of Nationwide, I sit on the Business Leaders Council at the Digital Skills College and a charity called ADA, and they specialise in creating a pathway from education into industry through A-levels, apprenticeship, T-level qualifications, and with the support from big industry players. And it really does make a difference when you've got that connection between people at their sort of early career stages connecting with industry. And it isn't about impacting millions. Sometimes I read on LinkedIn and people say, you know, my ambition is to change the lives of 1 million people. For me, it's about, you know, you change the trajectory of one person and that one person will influence another and another. And this sort of profound multiplier effect is actually what we need, especially as tech is going to evolve so much over the next 2 to 3 years. So I think it's really important, you know, for us to really be supporting.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Thank you so much. Speaking of early career opportunities, we've heard, and LinkedIn for that matter, we've heard a lot over the last few months about the impact of AI on the job market, and whether that's in the application process, the recruitment processes themselves, or whether it's due to just simply fewer entry level opportunities being there. How do you think this is genuinely affecting the market, or is it almost being used to conceal other activity like perhaps offshoring? Or do you think that it is having a long lasting and profound effect?
I mean, I've been reading so much research around this. I'm so interested in this topic, and I'm actually starting to see that it is having a big impact. So I've got children, and I see that route out of school. You know, what are the steps that they should be taking next? And you know, a lot of feedback that I'm getting from other parents is that it's just really difficult. You know, you graduate, you accumulate this debt, and then it's not that easy to get a job going forward. So, you know, as a parent, I'm looking into it. As an employer, I'm looking into how can we get the best talent. And it's really interesting that the data suggests that AI is having a massive effect on people at the young entry level kind of job seeker, you know, positions. And also those who are pivoting mid-career. So kind of anybody who, you know, really needs that support and guidance, is new to role, who may or may not have the critical soft skills, they may not have the leadership capabilities in place to kind of navigate within their roles. They're kind of being the most impacted.
Or the
I think
connection, presumably. That's the other big factor, isn't it? It's the
it's,
sort of connections.
yeah, absolutely. It's absolutely that. So, so I think you've kind of got that, what's the challenge on the input side, and then you've kind of got the pull from industry. So I think, when you think about traditional ways of recruiting into the marketplace, actually what you'll find is that recruiters are now looking for experience, but it's not that easy for example, graduates to get experience. So therefore, the apprenticeship routes and the T-level routes are becoming more popular. But actually, if you go into industry, the traditional HR departments don't necessarily recognize those types of qualifications because they're actually busy looking at universities and recruitment fairs. So there's something around the evolution of AI in terms of the impact that it's having in how roles are being selected. It's having an impact in terms of the availability of those entry-level jobs. You're also finding that, younger people are navigating into the workplace differently. You've got industry that they really struggling to find the right talent. So for me, that there's just a perfect storm of a number of things. I mean, let's be honest, there's always been some type of inequality in the workplace that I think if we're not careful with AI, we could have, significantly pronounced inequalities, between young and old, between, people of different social mobility, kind of demographics. And I think you're going to start to see sort of more polarization. And so therefore, for me, being an employer where we've got legacy technology and we're trying to modernize our estate, I've got one eye on the workforce of the future. And I've got lots of people who work for me today. So therefore, it's helping them to navigate and to evolve their careers. I'm also a mum. And I also sit on the ADA Business Council. So I also see lots of young people. And I think, wow, how are you going to navigate into those jobs in the future? So I do it myself. I think about how can I use my own platform to support? How can I use my position within the industry, not only to affect what I can do within Nationwide, but also across the financial services industry. And I definitely am trying to encourage others, my peers and others within my network to do the same.
That's great. Well, I can see it's something that you're very committed to, and yeah, I mean, well done. So that's all we have time for today. But Kiran Mahil, thank you very much indeed for joining us on Control Alt Lead, and thank you to you all for listening to this episode. We've got some fantastic guests lined up for future episodes, so please do look out for those as the year progresses. And in the meantime, please do head to computing.co.uk for more IT leader interview research and analysis. Thanks. Goodbye.